introducing me. One second. My name is Oman. I'm very happy to be here with you today. This is actually the first time I'm talking to Major League Kazakh Auditory, and this was a great honor for me to be invited by Agirim. I know, by the way, Agirim, your new volunteer from one of my first travels, which happened in 2017. I'm going to talk about it a bit later. But we met in Malaysia, and since then we keep in touch. And actually, this was the first time we gathered in such a great project. So thank you very much for this. If you have any questions, throughout the presentation, please just drop them into the chat box, and we'll definitely discuss all of them in the later session, in the Q&A session. But for now, I just want to introduce myself. Go through the presentation outline. So I'll introduce myself first, and I'll talk about global Ugrad program. Basically, this is the main part of our gathering today. The application process, the dates, how to crack it, and some tips as well. And I'm also going to talk about my experience in the US, what I did, what I learned, how it was, where I did travel, and so on. So who is Oman? I am a student from Uzbekistan. Probably I am your peer. Uh, and I study at Gubkin University branch in Tashkent. This is oil and gas university, one of the major oil and gas universities in Russia, and we have a branch of it. So I am a senior year student this year, and I'm graduating hopefully soon by the end of the June. I'm very happy for that. I led an English club specialized in petroleum engineering through 2018 and 19. I was leader of this Petro English club, and this was huge fun for me, and during which I, developed my leadership skills, presentation skills, and also learned quite a lot about petroleum engineering in English, which actually led me later to Ugrad, I guess. There is this excellent student-led organization at our university, which is part of a bigger organization called Society of Petroleum Engineers, Общество инженеров нефтяников. And that petroleum, like the Petro English Club, actually was part of the SP student chapter. Later, so this year, actually, I was president of this section, and we achieved, great heights, throughout the year. And I'm very happy to share this with you. This was one of my achievements. Also, I volunteered for Erasmus program here in Tashkent in their office for 6 months. This was a good experience of getting to know the European education system, and also and also enhance my writing skills, especially email writing and report writing, I guess. And I also like, to be on stage, perform. I used to be quite active. Like the keyword is used to be, because nothing huge is going on right now at university. So there were lots of like parties, like concerts, rehearsals. And I used to be very, very active on that. And I still like to sing and, perform when I have time, of course. And probably this is the most important part for you. I'm a big fan of free traveling. Again, the key word here is free. I actually traveled to 3 countries so far. I guess the description in the publication was a bit incorrect. It wasn't 20 countries, but it was 20 like flights, which really doesn't mean countries. But I've been flying a lot lately, and I've been to 3 countries so far, and a lot more are coming on the way. So I'm going to talk about that for now. So again, this started in Malaysia in 2017 in a great student summer camp called Asian Science Camp. I met Agirim there, and also lots of other people from Asia. This was partially funded, which basically meant I had to cover my flight ticket, but the rest was covered by the organizers. It was a great opportunity to start the travels. Yeah. So after that, after 2 years, I finally became the finalist of Global Ugrad exchange program. Uh, I applied to this program actually, in 2016 when I was the first year student, and I obviously failed, which was for reason. But during my time at university and Malaysia and other projects, they all gave me a good leadership experience, which I could display in my essays and perform during the interview. And I think that's why I became the one of the finalists of Global Ugrad that year. And we're gonna come back to this in more details. Basically, for now, uh, you know I guess that's enough about Ugrad. Also, right before the quarantine started in Uzbekistan, I was able to travel to Moscow, which was full scholarship. It lasted for 5 days. Yeah, Moscow, nothing really special, but it was like totally free. I didn't pay a thing from my own pocket, which was the greatest part of it. The forum was called Business Eurasia, and basically we were at MGU, and we learned some business related stuff. And after UGrad, everything became, I would say, a bit easier. Applying to scholarships became much easier, and winning them also kind of became a bit easier, because the more you have such experience, the more people, I guess, trust your ability to bear responsibility. And so this year, just recently, 1 month ago, I found out that I won a Latvian government scholarship. I applied to this, and basically, this is a scholarship to participate in a summer school in one of the universities in Latvia. Um, this isn't full scholarship. This is basically a participation scholarship, just like Asian Science Camp. The airfare tickets are on you again, but great experience still. And another one should come soon again in August. This is called European Forum Alpbach. This is held in Austria. Actually, this should have happened last year in August, but due to the pandemic and such stuff, they didn't hold it on time, and they actually rescheduled it a year after, so I could get a scholarship, which is not again a full scholarship, but this actually gives some funds to cover your plane tickets, which is great again. So hopefully, I'm waiting for their answers again. Like, the pandemic is not over and the situation is tricky now, so I'm waiting for their answers. But I have secured a scholarship from them too, and I think that was a good achievement. And probably the best achievement like of this year was me getting accepted to a master's degree in France with a scholarship from a company called Total, like French oil and gas company. So the university is IP school, a leading oil and gas school in France, and hopefully I'll join them in September 2021 this year. Yeah, and the program is basically related to my major. So yeah, this was a cool experience of applying, passing the interviews, and all this stuff. Um, and now let's talk about UGrad. Yeah, by the way, if you have any questions related to the scholarships that I just showed, just drop them in the chat box or write them down on your notes. We'll discuss them definitely. I'll tell more if you want. But for now, let's go into details of UGrad. Um, so I call Ugrad as your ticket to USA because it became my ticket to USA, and I hope it will become your ticket as well in the coming years. The program is basically an exchange program for students of undergraduate level, except the senior year, of course, because there is this requirement of having to study one more semester after coming back from the US. So you have to be at least, you know, uh, first year and third year um, student max. So I had finished my third year studies when I became the finalist of it. So yeah, um, and you have to have good leadership skills with some proof, like just like I showed Picture English Club and volunteering and that sort of things. Obviously, you have to have a decent English. It doesn't have to be outstanding, but you have to be able to communicate effectively and to be outgoing and just to show that you will be able to communicate with people in the U.S. And also this cultural exchange component is very important because this is, even though it's called an exchange program, it doesn't mean that someone from America will come to you from this program. It'll mean that you are going to US, but you're exchanging your culture. Like you have to be willing to share your culture, to display your culture there, and by organizing some events maybe. So all of those are very important. Yeah, if you see that you fall under this category, then Ugrad is definitely for you. One sec. And yeah, so what does it give? What does the Ugrad program give you in exchange? Like if you win it, uh, now it has become fully covered, one semester of fully covered studies in the US. Before 2015, I guess it was like 1 year long program, but due to the expanding of the program, this became only one semester, which is still great. You will travel a lot and learn about the US. Of course, you will improve your leadership skills. There will be so many opportunities for that. And I guess the fourth part, the last part is like for me personally, this is the most important part. It's a great networking opportunity that will enable you to become, connected to many other parts of the world through people that you will meet there. Not only other UGRAT participants, but also the Americans as well. So what does it cover? Uh, as I told, this is a fully uh, covered scholarship, which means you pay like zero, like absolutely zero for everything, like airfare tickets, tuition, books, living expenses, and like monthly stipend. Everything will be covered by the organizers. And if you pass the interview part, the next part usually becomes the TOEFL, and even passing TOEFL will be covered by them. So yeah, if you worry about the money by applying to this program, don't worry about it at all. This is like fully funded scholarship. Um, so basic steps that usually take place while applying to the UGRAD program. So the step one is an online application. One sec. Yeah, in online application, you have basically you have to upload several documents like motivation letters, two of them, like recommendation letters, also two of them, your transcripts from university, basically your zachotka, which is translated into English, and also some administrative stuff like passports, some forms there which you have to fill out. Nothing difficult, but I guess the most difficult part is like motivation letter and what to write there, and we'll stop about it. We'll stop on it a bit later. If you pass the if you pass the online application and you're shortlisted, you will go to the interview process. The interview is pretty straightforward, like any American procedure, I guess. It lasts for maximum 10 minutes, I guess. It can last even less. Now it's being held online. It used to be like face to face at the embassy, and they basically ask you questions like why you want to go to US through this program, why you're interested in this, like tell us about your leadership experience and such stuff. And the key point here is to exhibit your leadership skills and actually to prove your ambitions and energy for applying to this program. And I guess you have to just stand out from the crowd by being you, and that's it. Usually those who are genuine, they win they pass the interview part. And then comes TOEFL and then visa. And like step 3 and 4 are formal. They're not really steps, but they tell you that it's not guaranteed, and such stuff. But it's not really like that. If you pass the interview, you're usually you are a finalist basically. At TOEFL, the minimum the minimum like score is like 48 out of 120, which means like it's very easy. If you pass the interview, usually those score more than 75, more than 80 at the TOEFL IBT, and this is not a big deal. And then visa, visa is also like formal step which you will get straight away. But yeah, the first steps are the most difficult, I guess, step 1 and step 2. Yeah, this is like this feels like I'm talking to myself. Yeah, like everyone hears me. Like I want just some interaction from you guys.
Yes, we hear you.
Yeah,
We are
cool.
here.
Great. Because this even though it's been quite a while, we're having Zoom conferences, it still feels like you're talking to yourself when everybody listens to you, but nobody actually interacts with you. Anyways, from what I know, this year the applications were a bit late, and they usually they go from November to December, like 2 months. But this year, due to the COVID, uh, they were like shifted to January and February. And it can be the same next year, maybe as it used to be previously. But the time will show. This is the basic view of how the application looks like. So there will be a portal where you will have where you open your personal account, and you will have to upload those documents that you prepared basically. And for the essay, I remember there was this word limit of like 5,000 characters, which usually converts to around 500, 600 words. And recommendation letters are like like their usual recommendation letters, and they shouldn't be like more than one page, I guess. And it should be like with this special. It's recommended to have this special box in the end of contacts and addresses of the recommender. Yeah, and like as I told, like there are two types of recommendation letters. First is academic, and the second is like personal. Uh, the academic must be from someone who has academic degree, and the personal can be from anyone else, and it can also be from the professor, actually, who has experience of dealing with you personally. Um, yeah. Just shortly about motivation letters as well. As I told, there are two motivation letters. First is general. Every year it's like the same every year, and the question is, why do you think you will be a great participant in Ugrad program? This is actually a great tip for you now. I guess you have to write it down, and if you want to apply for this, I guess you have to you can prepare it beforehand. But the second question, it differs year to year, but the main point of the second question is to display some specific leadership skills from past experiences, and to show that experience on paper. So basically, that's it. Um, So any questions so far? I just want to have some interaction before I go to my experience. Let's just, make a small pause and maybe answer the questions.
If you have any questions, you can raise your hands. There is such a function in Zoom, or you can chat. Yes, write in the chat box. There's a question. What approximate date had you got a letter from the program after TOEFL exam? From Diana.
Yeah, sure. One sec. I just want to clarify the question. Like if you mean, so you see, after you have the letter after the interview, like you pass the interview, then you have a letter. They say, when you pass the interview, you will have the answers by the next week. In the next week, like at least 1 week after, you usually get your answers, like the decision from the committee. But after TOEFL, like, can you like clarify what do you mean letter after TOEFL? Because there is no letter after TOEFL exam.
If you can turn on your mic
Yeah,
and clarify. And I have one question. If it's not a
sure.
secret, what was your essay about? What you wrote about?
No, it's not a secret. I can actually share that with you all in the end of the session.
Mhm.
Like two letters of mine, I don't really hide them anytime. So in the first essay, I wrote like structurally about my experience of being a leader. One paragraph was about like Petra English Club that I led at university that I showed in the beginning, and the second was about like another one was about Asian Science Camp because that far it had been very influential on my life. And also I wrote about my volunteering experience, which I was commencing at Erasmus Plus in Tashkent.
Mhm.
So yeah, basically those were three paragraphs, and when I shared the letter, yeah, you can see that. And in the second letter, I wrote about like specific event that we held at the university at my university, and I described it in details, what I learned, what I did, how it went, and such stuff. Yeah,
Can you tell about differences in US and Central Asia
yeah, my observations. Sure, I will talk about it a bit,
later?
later in the presentation. Actually, I have this. So yeah, let's just go to the next part then about my experience. I studied at University of Wyoming. Wyoming is a state in northwest, I guess. Very cold state, the least populated state, I guess. Like, which means there are very few people. It was like 500,000 people in overall living in Wyoming, which was very few. And the city that I lived in called Laramie, it had like 30,000 people living, but 12,000 of them were students. So basically, you can call it a student town. Yeah. So I will show some pictures and like discuss what I learned, what I my observations from the U.S. So this was actually like how the dormitory looks like. This wasn't my dormitory, but it was like a neighboring dormitory. And this building actually was the tallest building in Wyoming. Can you imagine that? Like, it's such a small place, such a, you know, um, a very few like people live there, and they don't really build uh, like tall buildings because they have lots of space. And on the right, you can see my roommate. Uh, yeah, basically he's like wearing this cowboy hat, and like he's trying his Hawaii t-shirt, and he has his pajamas on. And actually, you could walk in this outside and nobody tells anything. This is totally okay. But it was so cold, I don't really imagine him walking like that. But he was pretty cool. He was pretty cool guy, and we had a lot of fun. Yeah, and this was the main building where I studied. My classes were mostly held there, and you can see lots of bikes on campus. They're very popular in the U.S. on campus because the campus is quite big, and sometimes you rush to your classes because there's like little time in between, and having a bike will let you get there very fast. This is actually the first weeks of my stay in Wyoming, and I like distributed the money, like the Uzbek money, Uzbek currency among them, like many countries here, and we're having lunch here basically in the cafeteria. What were the main challenges that I faced? Um, Basically, the first one and the biggest one, I guess, was the culture shock. uh, yeah, we were actually oriented here at the embassy that we will go through many steps. We had this handbook of a global Ugrad what we'll go through, and I didn't really imagine that culture shock would be so difficult. Actually, for a person who didn't live in the Western country at all, it's a big deal, and you know, like thankfully, because I'm an outgoing and a talkative guy, and I like to talk with people. I like to meet people. This passed quite fast, and it took me around 1 month still. But basically, culture shock means like being homesick and missing your like usual stuff, usual activities that you do at home, and going outside of your like comfort zone basically means culture shock. And you see that everything's different there, and everyone talks differently, everyone treats you differently, and you're on your own basically. Not on your own, of course, like, but you're very much independent, and you don't have your parents telling you what to do, and you have to, yeah, take care of yourself. This was quite actually quite a challenging experience in the beginning. And there's also a paperwork. I guess this happens in every program, even right now. Like with my master's degree, there are so many papers that I have to fill out. But in the U.S., it's very fast. It's very efficient, and even though I wrote it here, I think it's not a big problem. It takes only like 1 or 2 days to do everything, and that's it. Language, yeah. The language that the English that we learn here, not from natives. I mean, like from books, from things that we read and listen. This is not really the language that they have there, and lots of slang words, lots of like specific to the place language. This actually confuses you in the beginning, but again, you get used to this pretty fast. Um, but you have to be like extroverted, a bit extroverted at least, And the education system was like, I'm an engineer, as I told. I studied petroleum engineering, and their like measurement units were a bit different, and I had to learn it a bit, like for 1 week, I guess, and then I got used to this. Yeah, basically those were the main challenges. And through going while going through those challenges in the beginning, in the first month, I found this great relief of going to the gym every day, and they had lots of facilities there that you could utilize, and just forget about the stress, because you're very tired to think about stress, to think about other things. And camp, like this facility, basically a gym facility, had lots of sports activities inside, and it was, yeah, very fun. And actually, I could meet a lot of people there as well. This was my library. It doesn't really look like tall, big, but it's actually like 5-story building, I guess, with the basement and stuff. And this was a huge library with lots of resources, and I like to be there a lot. Um, these are like engineering buildings that I studied in, like went to meet my professors, and yeah, this was actually the question, I guess, if I'm not wrong, between the Central Asia and US, I guess. The differences in education system. Yeah, as I told, like campus, the studies are campus based, and they have everything you need at like concentrated one place. You have your like studying buildings, library, like gym, as I told, like all other facilities like market, um, like anything else, like everything that a student needs is located on campus. The studies are very expensive compared to like Central Asian countries. Of course, like I guess in Kazakhstan they are a bit higher than in Uzbekistan, but still, 9,000 per semester, which is considered to be the cheapest studies in the U.S. The University of Wyoming is still quite expensive education, I guess. The course load, which means the number of the subjects that you take per semester, is up to student. Of course, you're recommended to take a certain number of certain subjects, but it's all up to you because you're paying for this, or someone is paying for this. So this was a quite good, um, observation for me, a quite good experience of choosing the subjects. And it was a bit hard in the beginning as well, because not having this experience like in your life makes you like think a lot what to take, because like you don't really know the professor, you don't really know the people that study there or the course content. but still, it's a great experience. They also have like midterms and final exams, just like we do at our universities or at our schools. They also have, those quizzes at their classes, and it lasts for maybe 10, 15 minutes, and it can be as frequent as like once in a week or once in 2 weeks. But yeah, those quizzes also make a big difference. Uh, and what I also noticed, like my main observation from their classes is like they're very efficient. I remember there was this like class of my major in petroleum engineering, and it consisted only from lectures. I had only 3 lectures per week, and each of them lasted for 50 minutes. But during those 50 minutes, we did, everything. We did practice, we did lectures, we did, some, I don't know, some tours to like simulation like classes, and this was pretty cool, because the information is presented in a very easy and like even in a very easy and straightforward way. They don't really give everything that, you know like for example, they don't really talk about math part when they talk about engineering. Like it's all on you. If you want to study it, yeah, you do, but uh, the lecture's idea is to give you the concept and to direct you, and this was very good experience. And before we go to the travel, yeah, highlights, I guess. Any questions so far? Oh,
There are
there's
some
this,
questions.
yeah,
Yes.
clarification. So what should I? So Diana is asking, what should you do after passing TOEFL? Uh, oh yeah, great, great. Oh, so you became the finalist. Congrats. After TOEFL, usually they ask you to prepare your medical records here, like in your country. So basically, this will be like 10 or 15-page like forms. You have to go to doctors and to get their confirmation that you are like healthy. Depending on your university, actually, the list may differ a bit, I guess. Sometimes they ask you for some specific types of vaccines, some don't, but it depends on the state. But I think the placement to university will take place somewhere in July, so you can expect that until July you will be asked to prepare your medical forms, or maybe even July including you will be doing that. But the university placement, if you are going in fall, it's known by the end of the July, I guess. Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay, one sec. One sec. I'm just choosing the questions that are relevant to what I just uh told. Okay, one sec. Uh-huh. Okay. So question regarding Ugrad. In comparison to your first application in 2016, what specific aspects you improved in your, yeah, this is actually a good question. So I could actually share my 2016 like essay as well, just for you to compare. But basic idea is that in 2016 it was very general. I didn't give some specific examples. I didn't give some outputs uh, from my experience, but I just talked about something theoretical, imaginary. But yeah, in 2019 it was very solid. It was very like concrete, I would say. So that, I guess, made a big difference in the essays. Did you have any difficulties when you first came to the university in the US? Was it stressful when you passed exams, midterms in American? So yeah, about the difficulties, I already told what were the difficulties, like culture shock, the metric and like imperial system and such stuff. Was it stressful when you passed exams? I'll be honest, like exams weren't very hard. I guess what's good about people from like ex-Soviet countries is that we know how to crack exams. We know how to, study technically, and like, and the exams there are not like they're not super hard. They actually, I guess, they're even uh, simpler and easier than we have here. But they're very strict and they're honest, and the system is very uh, great there. No, the exams weren't hard. You will get, on exam paper, you will get what you just learned from the classes, nothing extra. Yeah, the only exam that was a bit harder was the top difficulty class that I took, because I was so confident in myself that I, can crack this, high level course. I took actually like 4,990 course, which means it is the last course you take, during your undergrad studies, because I thought it would be a great experience. It was a great experience, but the exam was a bit hard. There was this math part, with equations, differential equations, but still, it was cool. Yep, absolutely. I'll come back to the motivation question and one other question a bit later. Okay. Um, let's go to my travel highlights now. U.S. was very, I would say, saturated. I'm talking like engineering language now. It was full of travels, um, throughout the US, because, again, as I told, the lectures, the classes are very effective, and you have lots of time for yourself. There's this great balance between studies and life. Um, so during my stay there, which lasted for only around 4 months, I could travel, to around 5 states, I guess. Like first, I drove to like Colorado. I've been to Denver in September. Then I was able to go to Los Angeles with a group of international students. This was a huge experience for me because I organized this trip for 3 days to Los Angeles, and I had to go through so much information, but it was worth it because eventually it became much cheaper than if I had traveled myself. So yeah, the central picture is actually here from Los Angeles. Also in November, I was at um, at this um, how do you call it, like this conference for Ugrad participants. The organizers gather you uh, in Washington D.C. for 5 days, and this is like the compulsory stuff you have to do, and it's all paid again. And so, if you win and you grad, it means that you will definitely travel to Washington D.C. and stay there for 5 days. Lots of workshops, lots of lectures, lots of uh, you know great activities there, and like mingling with other Ugraders will also be great experience. And also in December, I traveled to Chicago. Some of my relatives are there, and I stayed there for 3 days, I guess. And also, like, if you get to know your roommates or other people on campus, like uh, mostly Americans, they, knowing that you're an international student and that you're staying there for one semester, they usually invite you to their houses during like Thanksgiving and other like holidays. I was actually at my roommate's house twice. First, we traveled to Yellowstone, a national park, which is the biggest national park in the US, and it is located in Wyoming. And this was a huge experience for me, like, experiencing that cold weather. And he lived somewhere in, in very deep, location in the state, because basically he has a ranch there, like, a farm, and he lives there with his family. But it was a great experience. And again, like for the second time, I traveled, you know, with his family to another state, like South Dakota, to like observe Thanksgiving Day. Again, like great cultural and like personal experience. And yeah, this is basically some shots from the end of the program summit. This is basically the official name of the conference that you have in Washington D.C. This was like, I don't know, once in a lifetime experience. So many countries, like over 50 countries, so many stuff to do, and of course, you're not able to meet, like, to know all of them at once, but if you try, you will get a big bulk of them. Yeah. And we still stay in touch. For example, we have people from Palestine, like the Ugraders, I personally know. And for example, I mean, this is the recent example of how we keep in touch. And knowing them actually gave me so much opportunity to know what's happening in Palestine right now, in Israel, for example, and so many other things that the benefits that you will get from knowing so many people. So definitely a great experience. And at your university, you have other Ugraders as well, like from other countries. You won't be placed with uh, a Ugrader from your own country together. No, you will have other Ugraders, and yeah, those will be, I guess, if you try in the beginning, those will be the closest people you will talk to, because you're in the same shoes basically. And also, if your major is related to engineering, maybe or business, or maybe even I don't know, like philosophy maybe, or like language related major, you will have an opportunity to go to field trips, to go to other places, and maybe to take part in some competitions. I remember this guy on the left, like his name was Masin. He used to take part in this debate club, and he went to some other state with the team to take part in a debate competition, which was again great experience. And on the right, you see me on a field trip to actually oil field, and this is the drilling rig, and they were drilling a well there. It doesn't matter what's happening there, but this was basically a field trip that again, it was very cheap, only $10, and everything's paid, and you could see the industry there. Yeah, all in all, if I summarize, Ugrad made me a global citizen, and it gave me resources to become very connected to the world, and to open myself, like to know myself, and to open myself to the world, and eventually do this kind of webinars with people from other countries. So yeah, basically, I'm very happy that it happened to me, and I guess if we go to application tips, uh, it would be great. Um, so if you wanna apply, I guess the best strategy would be to start early. As I told earlier, there's this question which is the same every year. The first question to motivation letters: why do you think you would be a great participant in the Global UGRAD program? You can actually start writing it right now, today or tomorrow, and you could get some ideas by the start of the application period. And don't lie when you write. Like, don't tell something uh, that you will not be able to prove on the interview part. Write about yourself. They want to know you. All you know, the most important part is about you, and you are the most important component to this program. So you have to be able to talk about yourself, your achievements, and what you want from life, what you want from this program, your ambitions and such stuff. The word limit is like principal stuff in every application, I guess. Even sometimes it's not, uh, you know, tough, but here I guess it's tough. You don't have to exceed the word limit. Um, Try to use the space given, in letters, and like all of them, like motivation and recommendation letters, wisely. Uh, for example, I didn't write about the same experience, in two motivation letters. Those showed me from different angles, and the same goes with the recommendation letters. Usually, what happens here is that you write your recommendation letter and you give it to your professor so that he or she will read it and analyze, give some edits maybe, and then they will sign it. But again, like when I wrote those recommendation letters, I wrote about real experiences that I had with this professor, and I never actually repeated myself. Of course, I mentioned some of the stuff that I wrote in the motivation letter, but I didn't go into details that much. But instead, I told about something different. For example, if I wrote about Petra English Club in motivation letter, I wrote about some other exhibition in my recommendation letter, or another competition that I didn't write in the motivation, and etc. Um, you know, when you finish the letters, all of them, give them to someone who is better in English than you. maybe even some, if you can, of course, to native speaker, but never listen to them when it comes to making decisions. They tell you, you have to do this, do that, and everyone will be different in their opinions. Yeah, listen to them, like their opinions, take it as a recommendation. But if you think that something should stay and something shouldn't be there, it should be like that. It shouldn't be opposed to their. It shouldn't be like with their opinion. Their opinion shouldn't decide what you do with your letter, because after all, when it comes to interview, you will be talking to them and not someone else. So yeah, take recommendations, but never actually listen to their like decisions, I would say. And be patient. Like the process takes quite a lot of time actually, and it's also almost like 1 year before you apply, like after you apply and before you go to the US, and so you have to be patient. And if not chosen, just like me from the first year of applying, be optimistic, try more, learn, try to improve yourself, and also look for other opportunities as well. Ugrad is not the only program, but it's one of the greatest programs. But yeah, still look for other opportunities. Just like I showed you, there are so many things to do besides Ugrad, and you can go to America, uh, you know, through other programs as well. So yeah, this was basically my um, batch, application tip batch. So yeah, and yeah, this is like the questions that there were in my year. Uh, yeah, maybe you can read this if you want, but I will share this with you a bit later in my motivation letters. So yeah, about the opportunities besides Ugrad, you should look maybe in other sources as well. But these are my favorite. First is like for Uzbekistan citizens is, but actually it's in English as well. So you can actually go, yeah, it's in English as well. So you can go to this grantlar.uz and read the English version. You thought this is very popular, and newpusti.net is like, I guess it's Kazakh source, and it's really cool. I like it very much. And if you have any questions, like besides, Ugrad, and maybe about other things, about living in, abroad, maybe other opportunities, you can always contact me, Facebook or Instagram. I used to share my Telegram, but I not decided not to do this because it gets very overcrowded, and I use Telegram for other things, basically for work and studies. So I don't want to get it, junked with so many messages. But instead, I guess Instagram or Facebook would be a good option. Yeah, and yeah, this is my blog in Telegram. Sometimes I share some, opportunities that I think are good and relevant. Sometimes I share my achievements. So, if you feel like joining, please join. And yeah, and we can go to questions and answers. We can actually make a, real uh, question Q&A with, microphones on, I guess, not just chat, because I miss talking to people through, at least through Zoom. Yeah, so that's it from me.
Thank you very much. So if you have a question, you can turn on your mic. And if you cannot turn on your mic, then you're welcome to text in the chat box.
So there was this question about motivation. I would start from this, I guess. One sec. Yeah. What motivates you? What is your push? Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Raman. This is actually a great question. Probably one of the most important questions when you're writing motivation letters. I always try to think of the ways that I can help people that surround me. Uh, doesn't really matter who they are, but since they're like close to me, even my family, like my friends, my students in my university or in some other communities, I always try to think of the ways that I can contribute to their goals, and eventually this motivates me a lot. I try to think of global problems as well, especially related to energy field because I major in energy, and this is Probably if we're talking about global issues, energy issues are in my agenda. And if I have to write something related to my major, I usually write about energy. But like personally, I guess the 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 best motivation is the motivation of giving to others. And there's this golden rule which always worked for me. If you give, eventually you will get back, not necessarily from the person or the place you gave it to, but from many other sources. So yeah, this is basically my motivation. Can you give advice how I can improve my English? There was this question from Artyom. Uh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Take part in such conversations, discussion clubs, from American Corner. Uh, I was told that there are at least 10 American corners in Kazakhstan, so utilize those resources. Go there if you have an opportunity. Talk to people more. You have to be outgoing. You have to start talking eventually if you want to learn English. Because without using it, you will not have efficient learning. Try to read more, listen more, watch some, easier, like simpler movies or TV shows like Friends or Big Bang Theory or others, doesn't really matter. Even cartoons, Simpsons maybe, or, like full cartoons with subtitles on. I used to watch lots of movies to improve my speaking. I used to, apply this imitation technique, which is very cool one. So you put the movie and you have this fragment of someone talking, for example, with subtitles on, and you stop it after that, and you try to repeat it the same way that he or she goes, and you do it several times. It can get a bit boring, but it's much more interesting with a partner, and especially if you watch it together, like I mean, if you watch it like separately, maybe at your home or together, and the next day you start imitating the fragments together. I used to watch, like for example, a great cartoon like Hercules, for example, Hercules, like from Disney, I guess, or Pixar, and there were so many cool phrases, like sentences, like you know exclamations, from the gods, for example, or from the Hercules himself, and we would imitate those and like sort of perform a bit, and this would
Mhm.
be pretty cool.
It really
So
works. Yeah,
yeah, it
I
does, it
confirm.
does, it does. Yep. So, and how many languages do I speak? Currently, I speak three languages fully, like my Uzbek and Russian. They come by default here, like Kazakh and Russian, I guess, in Kazakhstan. But also, yeah, English, and I'm learning French and Italian because I'm going to Europe, basically. So, yeah. Any other questions? So there was this question about recommendation letter. What's more important, the content or the person you got them from? Definitely, it's content. Like lately, people like the committee that the people who check your recommendation letters, they don't really care who wrote it, who signed it. The content is very important. How this people like knows you, what was the experience like, how much interaction did you have with him or him or her, and what was the outcome, what was the result, and such stuff. um so if you have a person who knows you best but it's not PhD or yeah, yeah, yeah. I would, yeah. So just for the audience, yeah. So if you have a person who knows you best, but it's not PhD or some well-known figure and someone famous, but who cannot provide a great description of your achievements, who would you choose? Uh, if it's not some PhD or someone else, I guess it could be anyone, from your friends, even, uh, from the place that you volunteer, from some senior person, that you worked with, or you have to have someone who you worked with, who you interacted with, because otherwise they can't really know you well. I mean, I don't really imagine people knowing you by just looking at you or listening to you, but not interacting with you, not working with you. Um, yeah, so in my case, both of the recommenders were like my professors, my teachers. But the first one was the dean of the university, who is like officially able to give you some overview of your marks, your academic performance. But the second one was from my geology professor, who I worked with a lot. Like I took part in his competition. I helped him with English-related stuff. I actually applied with him to one program in Iran, and there were so many other things we did together. So actually, we were able to, show it on the paper. So it must be someone who can give, a proven interaction with you, proven experience, with you, and that would be a great person to get a personal recommendation with.
Have you
Yeah,
improved your English during the Ugrad program, or it was excellent before?
I wouldn't say it was excellent before. It was okay, but what changed after Ugrad is that I can talk nonstop. you know, before I could do something similar, but I guess I used to lack confidence, a bit of confidence. I used to lack a bit of flow, and also pronunciation was a bit different, a bit more influenced from Russian and Uzbek. Not like very outstanding, but I remember there was. But after Ugrad, after America, you get to know the phrasal verbs a lot. Some handy like phrases. I mean that they use in their ordinary life.
Like what native speakers do.
Yeah, exactly. And also, but also studying there would give you lots of insights into academic English as well. Lots of, in my case, lots of engineering terms, lots of engineering concepts, lots of great books that I read. Yeah, they also enhanced my like professional English. So yeah, everything in your English will change to the better side.
So yeah, now you're planning to get your master's degree, right, in France? And
Yeah,
are you planning to apply to Fulbright program, by the way?
no, I'm not
No.
planning to do that. There are many reasons for that. First of all, you have to have work experience, solid work experience, as they say, and I don't have this. And also, there is like a big, this ratio of applicants, to the places available. From my country, I guess there are only 2 or 3 Fulbright scholarships for master's degrees, and this is like, it's just lots of maybe not lots of people apply, but I don't think I qualify for Fulbright, and I don't want to again, I don't want to really uh, I would say come back after going to the US, because in Fulbright as well you have this requirement of staying at least for 2 years in your country before going back to the US. But I personally want to travel more. I personally want to uh, you know uh, improve my professional skills, and I'm not able to do that here, so I'm going to other countries. Why I decided to go to Europe? Because after long analysis, I actually started preparing for my master's like during my when I was second course student. I did this spreadsheet in Excel with all the programs that I found and then that I want to apply for, with all the information about them. And after some time of analyzing, I became to the conclusion that US and Canada are very hard to get into. The process of getting a scholarship is very competitive, and there are so many people uh, besides you, like who want to go to the US, and it's much easier to get it to get accepted to European university, which is still great, though might not be as great as USA or Canada, but still, it's much better than what we have in Central Asia, I guess. And and it's Europe. And I actually got a scholarship to study in France. It's not like they pay for everything. They pay like 1,400 euros per month, which is totally enough to cover your like living expenses and even save up some money. And also they cover your tuition. And with that scholarship, I just have to pay the initial costs that that plane ticket and some visa requirements. But overall, you can say that it's a full scholarship.
Why have you chosen France, not any other country in Europe?
Because of the university that I got into. IFB school is very prestigious school in oil and gas. It actually took like top 5 in QS ranking, I guess, like past years. I was told that I didn't really see that myself. The QS was a bit different this and past years, but from what I know, yeah, it has very prestigious role, like place in academia, in oil and gas academia, and the program content is very, comfortable, convenient for me. It lasts only for 1 year, and this is not typical master degree that you get. Usually, if you go to the US, you do some research, you go into academic stuff. But in France, here, you learn skills. They actually teach you how to, for example, to work with oil and gas data. Like they teach you specific softwares, like programs on computer that you will utilize, like or like use during your work. So this was the best, uh, like the best university, the best choice I think I could make. Mhm. Yeah, so there's this question. Yeah, Ruslan is asking where I recommend to go for master's degree for programists, for programming major. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure about it. I know that it's great in the US. Also, it's great in maybe South Korea. Uh, where else? China is pretty cool, I guess, in programming. Uh, Not Europe, though. I guess Europe is a bit lower in the rank in programming, but yeah, US, Canada, those would be great places to learn programming. And South Korea, from what I know.
Okay, any last questions?
Yeah, guys, yeah, if you have any questions about anything that I talked today, you can ask me right now. Yeah, I am like very much interested in your questions, and I have time, and don't worry about my time. I have time. Yep, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for coming. So, any questions? I think I can drop a file here.
How old are you, by the way? Yeah, good question.
Okay, I'm gonna be 23 this year. I'm gonna be 23. Yeah, 23.
Where do you work?
Okay,
So it's
I
now
don't
it's
work.
gonna be personal questions.
Sure, no problem. I don't work right now. Uh, uh, I'm finishing my undergrad studies, but I don't work anywhere. I'm a student, yeah, and I will be a student for the next 1.5 year for my master's degree. So, one sec. I can actually share my motivation letter here. I guess. One sec. Yeah, if please give me questions. Yeah, I'm excited for your questions because the auditory is like different. You're from Kazakhstan, I'm from Uzbekistan. This is like really cool.
Have you ever visited Kazakhstan, by the way? No?
Nope.
You're
Actually,
very
no.
welcome to do it.
Yep,
Yes,
I
you're
will.
welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to visit Almaty. Uh, I heard that. Yeah, this used to be your capital, right?
Yes, right.
Yep.
No, Almaty isn't our capital, it's Nur Sultan.
It was used to be.
As I said. Used to be in past.
Okay. One second. Let me find this motivation. Okay. Do you have a scholarship? Can you please clarify, Saule, what kind of scholarship are you talking about?
Maybe like in your country, in the university you're studying right now?
I used to have from government, then I dropped it because I won Ugrad. And yeah, there's this long story of doing, yeah, I used to have government scholarship, but right now I don't. One second. Can't really find it somehow. It's here. So can I like drop the file into the chat box? Is it possible? It used to be possible.
What? I'm sorry.
Like, is it possible to drop a file, a PDF file, into the chat box?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, actually, yeah. Okay. If you text me, maybe I can share the motivation letter with you. But it's not a big deal. Yep. So are we done?
Yes, I think so. If you have any questions, any more questions, then you can text someone, right? Is it okay?
Yes, he shared
Yeah,
with
yeah,
his
yeah.
contact. If you don't
Yeah,
have
one sec.
screen, we
Yeah.
can send it to you guys, and you are able to ask him on Instagram, Telegram, or Facebook.
Thank
I'm
you
sure
very
he will
much for
respond.
joining us today. Really, we appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I had fun.
And Amon, thank you so much for sharing with your experience, and I think it was really useful for everyone
hope so.
here in Kazakhstan.
Hope so. Yeah.
And
Thank
thanks
you.
for our participants. Yes, for joining us, for listening to us. Thank you.
Yep. Yep. Thanks, guys. That was a huge fun for me. I always get excited when someone like invites me to share my experience, and I'm very happy if it was a bit useful for you. So yeah, if you have any more questions, yeah, just let me know through my Telegram, Instagram, or Facebook accounts. I'll definitely come back to you when I have time. I have my diploma thesis soon, so I may
good
not
luck.
answer. Thanks. I may not answer like right away, but I'll come back to you when I have time. So yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Agirim, both of you. That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you,
too.
Yeah. Yeah. Bye. Okay. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye. Have a nice day.
everyone.
For everyone.
Yeah, you too. You too, guys.